Hi everyone, for today's lesson we will be looking at Hamlet Act 4, Scene 5, 6 and 7. This will include a summary of the scenes as well as a specific look at the character of Claudius, a contrast between Hamlet and Laertes, as well as the death of Ophelia. In the description I have linked to an audiobook of Hamlet which can be accessed for free at the moment from Audible. Please look through their selection at the moment to enjoy some great audiobooks during this time. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Also, if you are only joining us now, please make sure to check out the Hamlet playlist so that you can get up to date with the lessons. At the beginning of Act 4, Scene 5, Gertrude and Horatio discuss Ophelia. Gertrude does not wish to see the bereaved girl, but Horatio says that Ophelia should be pitied, explaining that her grief has made her disordered and incoherent. Ophelia enters, adorned with flowers and singing strange songs. She seems to have gone mad. Claudius enters and hears Ophelia's ravings, such as, "They say the owl was a barker's daughter." He says that Ophelia's grief stems from her father's death, and that the people have been suspicious and disturbed by the death as well. Claudius also mentions that Laertes has secretly sailed back from France. A loud noise echoes from somewhere in the castle, and Claudius calls for his guards, and a gentleman enters to warn the king that Laertes has come with a mob of commoners. The mob calls Laertes Lord, according to the gentleman, and the people whisper that Laertes shall be king. A furious Laertes storms into the hall, fuming in his desire to avenge his father's death. Claudius attempts to soothe him by frankly acknowledging that Polonius is dead. Gertrude nervously adds that Claudius is innocent in it. When Ophelia re-enters, obviously insane, Laertes plunges again into rage. Claudius claims that he is not responsible for Polonius's death and says that Laertes' desire for revenge is a credit to him, so long as he seeks revenge upon the proper person. Claudius convinces Laertes to hear his version of events, which he says will answer all his questions. Laertes agrees, and Claudius seconds his desire to achieve justice in the aftermath of Polonius's death. As we have seen, one of the important themes of Hamlet is the connection between the health of a state and the moral legitimacy of its ruler. Claudius is rotten, and as a result, Denmark is rotten too. Here at the beginning of Act 4, Scene 4, things have palpably darkened for the nation. Hamlet is gone, Polonius is dead and has been buried in secret. Ophelia is raving mad, and, as Claudius tells us, the common people are disturbed and murmuring among themselves. Laertes is Hamlet's best foil throughout the play, and in this scene, the contrast between the two, each of whom has a dead father to avenge, reaches its peak. Whereas Hamlet is reflective and has difficulty acting, Laertes is active and has no use for thought. He has no interest in moral concerns, only in his consuming desire to avenge Polonius. When Claudius later asks Laertes how far he would go to avenge his father's death, Laertes replies that he would slit Hamlet's throat in the church. This statement indicates his willingness to murder Hamlet even in a sacred place of worship, brings into sharp relief the contrast between the two sons. Recall that Hamlet declined to kill Claudius as the king knelt in prayer. Shakespeare has demonstrated Ophelia's chaste dependence on the men in her life. After Polonius' sudden death and Hamlet's subsequent exile, she finds herself abruptly without any of them. Ophelia's lunatic ravings reveal a great deal about the nature of her mind at this stage in her young life. She is obsessed with death, beauty, and an ambiguous sexual desire, expressed in strangely frank imagery. Ophelia's insanity is designed to contrast strongly with Hamlet's, differing primarily in its legitimacy. Ophelia does not feign madness to achieve an end, but is truly driven mad by external pressures. In another part of the castle, Horatio is introduced to a pair of sailors bearing a letter for him from Hamlet. Hamlet says that his ship was captured by pirates, who have returned him to Denmark. He asks Horatio to escort the sailors to the king and queen, for they have messages for them as well. He also says that he has much to tell of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Horatio takes the sailors to the king and then follows them to find Hamlet, who is in the countryside near the castle. After exiling Hamlet to England in Act 4, Scene 4, Shakespeare now returns him to Denmark only 2 scenes later through the bizarre deus ex machina of the pirate attack. The short scene is primarily devoted to plot development, as Horatio reads Hamlet's letter narrating his adventure. A deus ex machina is an improbable or unexpected device or character introduced to resolve a situation in a work of fiction or drama. As Horatio speaks to the sailors, Claudius and a calmer Laertes discuss Polonius's death. Claudius explains that he has acted as he did, burying Polonius secretly and not punishing Hamlet for the murder, because both the common people and the queen love Hamlet very much. As a king and as a husband, he did not wish to upset either of them. A messenger enters with the letter from Hamlet to Claudius, which informs the king that Hamlet will return tomorrow. Laertes is pleased that Hamlet has come back to Denmark, since it means that his revenge will not be delayed. The devious king begins to think of a way for Laertes to ensure his revenge without creating any appearance of foul play. He recalls that Hamlet has been jealous in the past of Laertes' prowess with the sword, which was recently praised before all the court by a Frenchman who has seen him in combat. The king speculates that if Hamlet could be tempted into a duel with Laertes, it might provide Laertes with the chance to kill him. Laertes agrees and they settle on a plan. Laertes will use a sharpened sword rather than the customary dual fencing blade. Laertes also proposes to poison his sword so that even a scratch from it will kill Hamlet. The king concocts a backup plan as well, proposing that if Hamlet succeeds in the duel, Claudius will offer him a poisoned cup of wine to drink from it in celebration. Gertrude enters with tragic news. Ophelia, mad with grief, has drowned in the river. Anguished to have lost his sister so soon after his father's death, Laertes flees the room. Claudius summons Gertrude to follow. He tells her it was nearly impossible to quiet Laertes' rage and worries that the news of Ophelia's death will reawaken it. Claudius's behavior throughout these scenes shows him at his most devious and calculating. Shakespeare shows Claudius's mind working overtime to derail Laertes' anger, which is thus far the greatest challenge his kingship has faced. Claudius has clearly decided that he can appease Laertes' wrath and dispense with Hamlet in a single stroke. He hits upon the idea of the duel in order to use Laertes' rage to ensure Hamlet's death. The resulting plan brings both the theme of revenge and the repeated use of traps in the plot to a new height. Laertes and Claudius concoct not one, but 3 covert mechanisms by which Hamlet may be killed. The image of Ophelia drowning amid her garlands of flowers has proved to be one of the most enduring images in the play, represented countless times by artists and poets throughout the centuries. Ophelia is associated with flower imagery from the beginning of the play. In her first scene, Polonius presents her with a violet. After she goes mad, she sings songs about flowers, and now she drowns amid long streams of them. The fragile beauty of the flowers resembles Ophelia's own fragile beauty, as well as her nascent sexuality and her exquisite doomed innocence. Thanks for joining today's lesson. If you found it useful, please make sure to like down below and also subscribe to this channel and don't forget to check out the audiobook.